Assalamualaikum to our beloved lecturer, Ms. Daya. I'm Farah and today I will present about a critical review titled Leverage, Product Diversity and Performance of General Insurers in Malaysia. This journal article is written by two persons, which is firstly Sunia Fung. She graduated from University Putra Malaysia, and the second researcher is Mr. Raza Idris. He is from Department of Corporate Finance at Etika Insurance and Takaful in Kuala Lumpur. This journal is written in July 2011, but it is revised back on March 2012. The journal background, as you know that this topic is mainly about product diversity and leverage. So as for that, the researcher wants to know whether both of these elements has an impact towards the performance of the general insurance company in Malaysia. So by having that, we have two purposes in the journal where firstly it is to examine whether the leverage performance relationship is a function or a contingent on the extent towards product diversification. Secondly, it is to study whether the effect of leverage on the financial performance of general companies in Malaysia. So, as for the problem statements or the problem in this journal, the researcher has divided the problems into three parts, where firstly, it is about the product diversification. This is because the researcher stated that market or product diversification can reduce the business risk. So, however, some of the past literature did not agree with that, as they say that product diversification is unclear or it doesn't have any benefit. Secondly, it's about leverage. So as we know that due to larger insurance firms, they will have larger leverage or because of they have larger insurance fund. So as for that, the higher the leverage of the company, it will give an impact towards the return of equity on the company. So the researcher wants to know whether by having a higher return of equity, it will give a good or a great performance. And lastly, in the hypothesis, we have two types of hypothesis, which is firstly, in the first hypothesis, it says that leverage is positively associated with the financial performance of general insurance company. And the second hypothesis is product diversity moderates the relationship between leverage and performance of general insurance company. As for the literature review, firstly we have the cited sources. So as you can see that all of the cited sources in this journal is related to the main issue, which is diversification and leverage of the insurance company in Malaysia. So as for that, all of the cited sources made by the researcher is considered as relevant. By having those cited sources, the researcher can make a comparison between the benefit or the disadvantages of product diversification in order for them to fill into the gap of existing knowledge. However, there is a study that emphasizes that a diversified company will attract more debt because they will have higher leverage compared to non-diversified firms. Along with that, this literature review made by the researcher is considered as narrow because it is related to the purpose of the research study. And the researcher also compared the relationship between the two variables, which is the diversification and the leverage, to make the readers to understand more. As the journal is published on the year of 2011, the citation and reference is not recent and up to date, as their citation is from 10 years back. This is because majority of the citation made by the researcher is from the year of 1996 to 2007 in order for them to support their literature review. So all of the majority of the citation is considered as not recent. And the literature review of the journal has no evidence of bias, as the researcher discussed the variable, which is diversification of product and lubrication and leverage from all perspectives, where they include positive and negative impact or negative perceptions from the past literature. As for the next slide, it is about the research methodology of this journal. The first section, it is about type of the methodology. So the researcher used three types, which is descriptive statistic and two regression models. The descriptive statistic is used to analyze the correlation between the variables, while the two regression models, in model 1, it shows the regression on leverage firm on performance, while the regression model 2 shows the interaction between leverage and product diversity on the firm performance. The item that is used in the methodology is return on equity, leverage, and product diversity. This journal is also considered as a replica study as the researcher wants to give the reader a better understanding and they want to contribute in fill in the gap of existing knowledge. In the second segment, it is about the measurement tools used by the researcher. So as for the researcher wants to measure the firm performance, they uses the return on equity where they divide the net profit or loss with the shareholders fund. When the researcher compute the net profit or loss of the companies, they will calculate the underwriting gain or loss first. Moreover, as for their they want to measure the leverage of the company, they uses the debt to equity ratio in order for them to find the calculation of the debt or the leverage, how leverage is the company. So they will calculate by using the total liability divided by total equity. And the last measurement tool used to measure the product diversification is by using the Herfindahl index. And in the third section, in the third section, you can say that this type of journal is structured as a deductive research. This is because this journal is structured top down, which the researcher uses the theories testing. As for the variables of this research paper, we have three types of variables, which is firstly is dependent variable. As we know that, as I said, the dependent variables is the firm performance, the independent variables is the leverage and the product diversification, and the control variable used in this journal is the firm size. As a sample for this research, the researcher took their sample from licensed general insurance company which operates in Malaysia from the year of 2006 until 2009, and all of the calculation they took from the annual report that is sourced from Bank Negara Malaysia database. From this sample, they took 94 observations were analysed. The second last slide is about the data analysis and the result of the journal of the study. So in the first methodology, which is the descriptive statistic, so in the descriptive statistic, the average market share of general insurance firm is 3.4%, which indicate that the general insurance sector in Malaysia is highly fragmented and the market competition is clear. The regression models, in the first model, which is model 1, it shows the relationship between leverage and performance is highly significant but not in the negative reaction. This means that in the insurance sector, if the higher leverage means higher risk, and if the firm exposed in certain high risk product, it will become adversely affected. Therefore, in the model 2, it shows the interaction effect between leverage and the product diversity on firm performance. In model 2, they shows direct effect of both leverage and product diversity on performance as it is significant. The control firm, which is the firm size, also shows a positive impact towards the performance. However, in this journal, the researcher has discussed one particular weakness from the journal or from the findings. This is because the paper that is discussed, the scope of study is limited to the general insurance industry as the sample size is small, as the only sample is they only took 94 observations. So in conclusion, for the journal entitled Leverage, Product Diversity and Performance of General Insurers in Malaysia, in conclusion, the findings of the study indicate that the leverage has a negative impact on performance, and the findings also indicate that the leverage performance is significantly moderated by the product diversity. In conclusion, the researchers stated that companies with high leverage and high product diversity perform better than companies that has high leverage but low product diversity. In conclusion, the study has a fact to contribute to the existing literature by proving their further studies on impact on the leverage on firm performance in the role of product diversity in influencing the leverage performance relationship into the insurance industry. As for the key implication, firstly, the general insurers need to manage their underwriting activities properly, especially in the tariff-regulated product segment. Moving on to the recommendations made by the researcher. The first recommendation made is the insurance company in Malaysia should consider diversifying into other product offerings that have lower claim ratios other than motor vehicles insurance. This is because, as you know, that commonly the motor insurance has more risk and it is claimed regularly by the insured. As for my personal recommendation is I would recommend the general insurance company in Malaysia should diversify their product, diversify their planning in their insurance planning um, because as this article said that when you have product diversifying, it will give you a better firm performance. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Khairul Iqhwan. So today I want to present about a journal with the title of Family Takaful, its social and economic development and as a saving instrument in Malaysia. So first thing first, this journal or paper aims to predict the potential of family takaful business in Malaysia using four economic indicators: GDP, gross domestic product, CPI, consumer price index, TBR, treasury bills, 3 months treasury bills, and KLCI, Kuala Lumpur Composite Index. And then secondly, to determine whether the establishment of Islamic institution or the takaful operators achieve a social economic development of eradicating poverty, which is through providing job employment. And for the data collection, the data collected is pretty much attainable for anyone because the macroeconomic indicators released by the Ministry of Finance through its economic report for 2001/2002, and then Takaful annual report released by Central Bank of Malaysia for the duration of 1995 2002 to 2003. So the duration same goes with both of the company takaful companies analyzed, which is Takaful National and Takaful Malaysia, and the data collected from its annual report from 1995 to 2003. And then after through analysis, the results found that there are positive relationship between the CPI and GDP, but there are negative relationship for TBR and KLCI through the establishment of new businesses. And then for the company, for the both of the company, for the TM Malaysia, Takaful Malaysia, all four macroeconomics indicator have a negative relationship with the demand of takaful family takaful policies released by Takaful Malaysia, but only TBR and KLCI were found to be significant rather than CPI and GDP. The explanation why might be because the consumer tend to invest in alternative saving instrument such as in stock market or money market because the return are higher than family takaful policies. And then secondly, for the Takaful National, only GDP was found to be a significant variable, and other three are not significant. So, and then for the second objective, which is the providing job employment, there are positive trend appeared for the on the social economic development through creating employment. So and the discussion part, I use that the macroeconomics, all the macroeconomics variable is loosely attached to the as a reason for to predict the potential of takaful industry growth. But on the other angle, if the takaful business is improving year by year, it would obviously, but not completely, it will obviously improve all these four macroeconomics, rather than these four macroeconomics affect the growth of the family takaful industry. And then and it evidently shows that more and more people realize that any kind of financial protection goes a long way. They see them as a long-term investment, because it protect them financially if any tragedy happen to them or to their family members. And this mindset, this assumption creates a growing consumer, or a growing demand for family takaful business. And through the records released by the Central Bank of Malaysia, the number of certificates released in 1997 is a total of 50,000 certificates, but the number increased to 263,000 in 2003. So and then for the contribution as income tax from this to takaful industry to the government in 1997, the contribution valued at 79.2 million, and the number increased to a staggering 511 million in 2003. It shows that this industry is growing, and it's grow very fast. That's all from me. Thank you for your time.